Good evening, one and all. Welcome to Rajagiri Entrepreneurship Development Tales, also known as REDTales, an initiative by RSET Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Center, or IEDC, to encourage and motivate young minds through the experiences and challenges shared by successful entrepreneurs and influencers. IEDC of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology is an organization under the Kerala Startup Mission, which promotes innovation and startup culture in and around the Rajagiri campus by conducting both technical and non-technical events. It is a pleasure for us to introduce you to Mr. Senapati Kris Gopalakrishnan, a highly successful technocrat and philanthropist, who is here to inspire us with his stories of overcoming obstacles, thereby attaining great heights. Starting off as a software engineer, Mr. Kris Gopalakrishnan was one of the co-founders of Infosys. After occupying several key positions at Infosys, he went on to be its CEO and MD from 2007 to 2011. Mr. Gopalakrishnan is a recipient of numerous awards and laurels. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan, India's third highest civilian honor, recognized as a global business and technology thought leader. He was also voted the top CEO in the IT services categories in Institutional Investors' inaugural ranking of Asia's top executives, and was also selected as one of the winners of the second Asian Corporate Director Recognition Awards by Corporate Governance Asia in 2011. He is currently the chairman of Axilor Ventures, an early-stage startup accelerator and venture fund. He is also the chair of the Reserve Bank of India's New Innovation Hub, which aims to promote advancement in the financial sector. Apart from this, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, an IIT alumnus, is an excellent leader who is keen on helping and guiding young minds to achieve their goals. Before we start, I would like to remind the participants that you may put your questions in the chat box so that they can be addressed during the question answer session. Without further delay, I would like to invite Mr. Kris Gopalakrishnan to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you, faculty, students, friends. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you. This talk, as was mentioned, is part of REDTales. I think it's a fantastic name. My compliments to you for coming up with this series of talks. This is the best way for you to learn how to face difficult situations in life from others' life stories. We are in the midst of a crisis that is global and affecting 7 billion people around the world simultaneously. This is unprecedented and hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Quoting Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Of course, he was talking about boxing. But it's an apt quote for something unexpected trying to derail our well-laid plans. We did not expect this crisis. We were unprepared for it. Now we are all living to learn with the virus as best as we can. Our lives have been disrupted and changed in ways that were unimaginable just 9 months back. We have reduced travel and our meetings happen digitally. Classes and exams are digital now in colleges. We have all embraced living digital faster than we thought possible before the crisis. So a severe crisis changes the status quo and transforms people and societies. We adapt when we are forced to. Can we not make this part of our regular life? As I said, a crisis tests us and gives us an opportunity to stress ourselves. We will learn that we are capable of doing much better, doing more with less, and completely change our path. We understand who our true friends are and show to the rest of the world that we can take advantage of the crisis to emerge as a leader. This is what I define as resilience. After I passed my pre-degree, that's the 12th in those days, I did not get admission to MBBS. I was devastated and did not know what the future would hold for me. I then switched to BSc Physics. I had to learn mathematics all over again since I did not study mathematics during my pre-degree program. I went for private tuition during this time to learn maths, and the tuition teacher helped with my maths, but also helped rebuild my confidence in my studies. He told me that there are many paths possible that one can take in life, and if you work hard, more opportunities will open up. After BSc Physics, I joined IIT Madras for MSc Physics. During my MSc at IIT Madras, I got to learn about computers. Even then, it was very unusual to get access to computer resources. And this course allowed me access to computer center. And that's why I took this course. But got hooked on to computers, switched to MTech in computer science. And this put me in the right place at the right time to take full advantage of the digital computer revolution happening between 1970s and now. Fast forward, I became the CEO of Infosys in June 2007. And the next year was the global financial crisis. The world was turned upside down. Companies were losing revenues, losing projects, and the world was an uncertain world for at least some months, just like what it is today. Again, I worked very hard to reduce the impact of this crisis on Infosys, its customers, and its employees. And in 2011, that's 4 years from the start of the crisis, Infosys got its growth back. It grew 26%, and we doubled the revenue from $3 billion in 2007 to $6 billion in 2011, the 4 years I was the CEO. Resilience is the trait that is used to face challenges or crises in life and adapt to emerge stronger. One can also prepare oneself for obstacles and challenges that occur in the future. Most of the time, other people who have taken the path before you have faced same or similar challenges and overcome them. They have shared their experiences and tools and techniques and developed many techniques to overcome these challenges. Based on these, you should plan and take preventive actions. Let me give some examples actually. Before you go online, you need to ensure that you have a secure connection and that you have the latest versions of all software. You should have an antivirus software installed on your machine. If you suspect a website, you should get out of that very fast, right? Again, this is an example of robustness. Another example is the need to be healthy with strong immunity. Eating healthy food and daily exercise will improve your immunity. Look at how COVID-19 affects people. People with comorbidities are at serious risk of severe infection, and it may lead to death even. When I became CEO of Infosys in 2007, the first thing I did was to go for a health checkup and made sure that I took care of my health. I became very regular in my exercises because the employees of Infosys, customers, investors, and society are all dependent on the success of Infosys. And I wanted to make sure that I was 100% healthy to give my 100% plus to Infosys. After Infosys, some of my colleagues and I at Infosys set up Axilor Ventures to help other founders. Axilor's tagline is Axilor helps early stage startups succeed. How do we do this? By helping founders set up and run their enterprises properly. Every organization will face several challenges in their journey. Some can be anticipated. Statutory compliances, tax compliances, good founder agreements, making sure that the product has customer fit and market fit are all important steps that we help with. These are known unknowns, and if this can be taken care of, then the startup can confidently face the unknown unknowns like the COVID crisis or a new competitor emerging or a new disruptive technology obsoleting its product. These events are unpredictable. Infosys and I are children of the digital computing wave. I joined MTech Computer Science in 1977. That was the year Apple introduced its famous Apple II, the world's first highly successful mass-produced microcomputer. This democratized computing. Computers were affordable and accessible to everyone. Businesses started using personal computers in 1981 when IBM introduced the IBM PC. Every white-collar worker was given a PC on his or her desk, and software programs were written to automate business processes. We started Infosys in 1981 with the purpose of helping large businesses write software to automate business processes. Of course, we gave it a twist. We decided to develop the software sitting in India, leveraging lower costs in India, as well as the availability of abundant talent in India. These were before the days of global telecom links, before the days of internet, before the days of mobile phone. So in some sense, we anticipated that we will be connected to organizations around the world. We will be interconnected using internet, and we can actually indeed do work remotely. But when we started this, we developed the software and shipped the software on tapes using courier services to our clients in the US. Later on in 1989, we got our first data communication link, and today's model evolved from that. Infosys today is a $12 billion company, and it employs more than 250,000 people. The IT services industry itself is a $190 billion industry, employing 4.5 million people. So finding a wave to ride on actually allows you to, of course, be a professional creating an industry. More importantly, it allows you to create large enterprises. It allows you to create a industry. Having a wave to ride on, pushing you from behind is good, since the wave will take you further, faster. You are fortunate that as part of the fourth industrial revolution, there are multiple technology waves that are emerging, and these will create significant changes in businesses and our lives over the next 30 to 40 years. In fact, I believe that every industry, every business will change over the next 30 to 40 years. And when such dramatic changes happens, there are opportunities to create new businesses, new world-class businesses, and new very large enterprises. And I'll come back to this. The technologies that I'm talking about are IoT, that's Internet of Everything, computing everywhere, pervasive computing, some people call it, 5G telecom, augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D printing, AI and machine learning, DNA sequencing, blockchain, and so on. Actually, there are many emerging technologies that can disrupt multiple industries. You can work in these technologies and help transform businesses, create a new future over the next 30 to 40 years. Future is not a linear extrapolation of the past. Future is created integrating past experiences, inventions and innovations till today and current circumstances. Addition or removal of constraints influence the future. Future is deeply influenced by scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, and leaders. A disruptive technology or crisis can accelerate change, as is happening now. And we as human beings are always looking for faster, cheaper, better way to do things, using better tools and technology. I joined the workforce in 1979 after passing out from IIT Madras. In 1980, India's GDP was about $160 billion, and the global GDP was $11 trillion. Today, India's GDP is $2.7 trillion. That is a growth of approximately 17 times over the last 40 years. The global GDP is approximately $80 trillion, a growth of 8 times. And Infosys grew from zero revenue to more than $12 billion in revenue over the same 40 years. And of course, as I mentioned, one of the drivers for this huge growth was digital computing, the wave I talked about. So you can also be part of a huge economic growth opportunity and wealth creation opportunity in front of you. US economy was actually $2.8 trillion in 1980. It is today $19 trillion, the largest economy in the world. The companies with the largest market cap in the US are Alphabet, the parent of Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft. None of these companies existed 50 years back. Alphabet was founded in 1994 as Google, Amazon in 1997, and Facebook in 2007. That means many of these companies are about 25 years old. That is why entrepreneurship is important in any economy. They bring innovative new products to the market. They create new jobs. They create tremendous wealth. I believe that India is the best place to be in over the next 30 to 40 years. I have seen India grow from 1993 when we liberalized and opened up the economy. That's in 1991, the last 28 years. India is yet to develop. Our per capita income today is around $2,000, and the size of the GDP, as I said, is $2.7 trillion. These will grow to $5,000, that's the per capita income, and the GDP will grow to $5 trillion in the next 10 to 15 years. India will become a middle income country, that is more middle class people as a percentage of the total population. As India develops, we will have the opportunity to create a new 21st century development model, not the consumption-led, unsustainable, and unequal model of the 20th century, but one that is inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. This is your opportunity and should be your goal. You can lead this transformation. The rest of the world believes in this vision for India, and that is why India is one of the hottest investment destinations in the world. Of course, India is also the largest democracy and has the second largest consumer base in the world. That's 1.3 billion people. Now, technology is nothing but a tool. Only in the hands of people, especially scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs, that technology becomes a tool for creating new products or new businesses that will positively impact society. So what are the attributes you need to have and develop? First, as I said, is resilience. We have seen that life is full of twists and turns. We have to learn to adapt, take the cards as they're dealt with, and flourish. Second is robustness. This is the ability to plan for worst case scenario. This is the ability to anticipate possible problems that can arise or mishaps that can occur and have a plan to mitigate these. Third is curiosity and the urge to learn continuously. Innovation typically happens at the intersection of the fields and at the edges. We have to learn and execute simultaneously, learn and do. Did you know that information in the world is doubling every 2 years and that speed is accelerating? That means that we have to assimilate, integrate, and deploy these in our work and life in the future to stay relevant. Fourth is problem-solving capability. Every day we will be faced with new problems. Some people say that every day is a new day, which is true, right? It has not been there before. Even existing problems may need new solutions since the circumstances would have changed or new technology would have been introduced. A new solution is possible. Just look at the huge number of challenges this crisis, COVID-19 crisis, has created. This is a massive problem-solving challenge the entire world is involved in right now. And those that solve such problems emerge as winners. Fifth is your ability to create and work with mental models. More and more, you will solve problems in real time. You will build things incrementally. In software, some of you may have heard about agile methodology. This is a model of software development. Another example in business is the Amul model, the cooperative milk production and marketing model. These can be replicated in other sectors. In management schools, you are taught such mental models of organizing people and businesses to get optimum outcomes. Sixth is good habits. Good habits are really hard to cultivate since the rewards occur in the medium to long term, whereas the rewards for bad habits are in the short term. Think about eating too much sweets, which can become a habit since sugar creates a high in our brains. But you know that eating sugar is actually bad for your health, but that happens over the medium term. So eating sugar in moderation or avoiding sugar is actually a challenge unless you have mental strength, you have discipline, etc. And that is why creating good habits is actually quite a big challenge. Seventh is good character. The world is not a fair place. Some people and organizations work with selfish intentions. We have still a long way to go to eliminate poverty, provide food, shelter, education, healthcare, access to citizen services to all the 1.3 billion people in India and the 7 billion people in the world. We need to bridge the digital divide in the world. Now, who is going to make this happen? It has to be you. You have to be the warriors to provide these and justice to all the people in the world. You have the opportunity to remake this world to be a better world. Eighth is the ability to listen, especially to criticism. We are not perfect and we cannot see it ourselves. We need to accept friendly criticism from others so that we can improve and become better. Please have a set of friends that you trust and respect and ask for periodic feedback on what you need to improve. Please work hard to improve these areas. Ninth, set high aspirations for yourself and your team. Work hard to achieve these. Even if you reach only halfway, you are better off and the world is better off. A sure way to fail is not to try at all. If you try, there's a better probability in achieving the goals. If India has to become better, we need to set high aspirational goals and we need to work hard to achieve these. In some sense, you have inherited this task as the youth of this country. Last but not the least, be courageous. Currently, we are facing one of the most challenging periods in our lifetime. In the future too, you will face challenges. These are solved by people like you. They become extraordinary heroes after they solve these. Quoting Steve Jobs, this is one of my favorite quotes. When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it. Let me repeat that. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it. Once you learn that, you will never be the same again. I wish you all the very best in the future, and thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. I hope this provides motivation to all our future entrepreneurs. Registered participants, kindly note the feedback form will be put in the chat box shortly. Only the registered participants who have also filled the feedback form will receive the e-certificates. Sir, we shall now move on to the question answer session. Sir, we have a question from Mr. Paul Davis. The question is, sometimes as a leader, you may have to make decisions which may not be acceptable or accepted by your team. How would you then convince them that you have made the right decision?
See, first of all, you need to have a transparent process for decision making. What I mean by this is you need to actually collect data, allow people to voice their opinions, and you need to allow them to participate in the decision making process, especially the relevant people. Afterwards, you look at all the facts that you have, all the opinions that you have received, and then you make what you believe is the right decision. And then you actually take the decision forward. Now, a decision making is a process where you have a period where you allow people to voice their opinions. You then process that, and then you take a decision. So this is a process. And once you explain this process to people, they know that, and you should explain to them that, discussing a problem or discussing the options that are in front of you forever does not change the situation. You take a decision and implement that decision. That's what is going to solve the problem. So you take the decision based on the best facts that you have, the best feedback that you have received, and go forward. Yes, it is possible that sometimes the decision may be wrong, may not work, but that's part of actually making the decision. But once you have defined that process, once you have actually explained how you make decisions and then go forward, I think you will find that most people will accept the decision. Most people will actually appreciate the process and the transparency that you have actually adopted, and that's been my experience in the past and even today, because I have leadership roles in many things, and when I explain people that we need to have a time box in which you need to make decisions, they actually accept those decisions.
Right, sir. We have our next question from Hari Devan. The question is, who has inspired you the most?
See, there are several people who inspire you in different times in your life. I already in my talk mentioned about my tuition teacher after my pre-degree, right? It was a very bad period in my life. I was, as I said, devastated, lost all confidence in myself, didn't believe in myself. But he actually taught me maths, but also told me that this is not the end of the world. If you study hard, if you do well, there will be new opportunities, new doors will be opened for you. And it became true, right? I did well for my BSc. I got into IIT Madras, and rest is in some sense history, right? So in different times, different people are your inspiration. So today, for example, in philanthropy, you look at Bill Gates, right? In the last 15 years, he has actually completely transformed philanthropy in the work that he's doing for eradication of polio, eradication of malaria, what are called communicable diseases and things like that. He has been at the forefront of developing the vaccine and making sure that the poorer nations, the poorer sections of the society also get access to vaccines. So in philanthropy, you look at Bill Gates. When you look at transformational leadership, of course, you look at Sundar Pichai at Google, and people like that actually, at Microsoft. So for everything, you have your own inspiration. And when it comes to quality design, aspirational products and things like that, you'll then look at Steve Jobs, right? Amazing, amazing product design capabilities and things like that.
Okay, sir. Our next question is from Shruti Gopalakrishnan. The question is, what are the things that you look for in people who pitch their ideas to you?
Oh, okay. That's a very, very broad question, because you look at many things. First and foremost, you look at the team, the passion of the team, their background, and sometimes the background doesn't matter, because they overcome the lack of experience by the passion that they have, and their aspirations, etc. And how cohesive the team is, and how well they know each other and work together. The second is, of course, the idea itself. Is this an idea that can change the world? Do they believe that this idea can change the world? Have they thought through that idea? Is it something that can be implemented using the current tools, technologies that are available? Is it solving a real life problem today? Next is, the customers. Whose problem are they solving? They need to be very clear about who's the customer and whose problems that they're solving, and that customer base has to be a fairly large customer base. And last but not the least, their business plan, the financial plan, and things like that. Have they thought through, how they're going to achieve all these goals? So these are some of the things that we look at. It's not necessary that all of them will be well thought out, but definitely the team, the idea, their passion, all of these are very, very important.
Okay. So our next question is from Govind Nandakumar. And the question is, even though everyone is creative, no one is getting a chance to express it. Could you please suggest a way to achieve it?
Well, actually, I'm learning by looking at you people, right? Today with internet and the access that internet provides, there is no barrier to showcase your creativity. I look at just look at YouTube alone. There are people who are singing sensations, what are called influencers, right? Social media influencers. There are singing sensations all the way from very small child to teenagers to older people. I've seen grandmothers doing cooking lessons, becoming celebrities on YouTube, and that's just one social media, and you have so much access to ways in which you can actually showcase your creativity and things like that. What is different today is that previously you had to go through somebody, some gate or some organization and middlemen to do to get approval and showcase your creativity. Today that's not true. The internet gives you access to the entire world, and if they like what they see, it grows virally. I've seen people on the internet, on YouTube, etc., joining the YouTube and within no time having million hits and things like that. It's just viral actually. And so today, that challenge is not there, and you don't need to be a technology expert to get access to these portals and things like that. So I think you should take full advantage of this. All you need is a mobile phone and your creativity.
Right, sir. Our next question is from Shreyas Shibu Kurian, and the question is, what do you think is the main quality for selecting individuals for a certain work?
So, first of all, if the work is immediate, you want people who are experts in doing that, who have the skills to deliver on that. And so you look at, what does the job require, and what does the person have? Do they have certified expertise in that? Have they got job experience in doing that? Can I do a reference check on that, etc.? Now, if the job is medium to long term, I will even accept people with good learnability skills and send them to a training program so that they can develop these skills. So they need to show good learnability and they need to show aptitude for the work. And that's what the IT services industry does. They take people straight out of college, any branch of engineering, for example. They train them to become software engineers and then put them on the job.
Okay, sir. Our next question is from Krishnan TS. And the question is, what do you think about the new generation?
Well, I think very highly of the new generation. I think they are much, much better than our generation. They are born in the internet era. They are global in their outlook. They are connected globally. My daughter is 21, but when she was a teenager, I used to tell her, go out, play with your friends, meet them, etc. But then she used to tell me that I'm globally connected. I actually am in contact with my friends around the world using social media and things like that. So today's youth is much better connected. Second is they have no fear, and I find this actually quite interesting and in some sense inspiring, because we would be very, very when we were thinking, right, of starting Infosys, etc., we would think twice before jumping to become an entrepreneur. You know, being an entrepreneur in those days was not a very popular decision, etc. But today I find that they have no fear. They feel that they can conquer the world. They feel that they can actually, compete with a multinational corporation, a Amazon or a Google or a, Facebook, etc. And they want to change the world. And so that's quite inspirational, actually. And I feel that today's youth are well set, and that's the reason why I know in my talk I repeatedly said, you have inherited this world, and the expectation is that you will make this world even better place to live. You will make India a developed economy. You will eliminate poverty from India, etc., etc. So a lot of expectations from all of you.
Right, sir. So our next question is from Nikhil Pradeep, and the question is, what are the major things that you look for in the presentation of an idea for a startup?
So I already mentioned this. I would look at the team, how cohesive, how passionate are they about the idea. Second is the idea itself. Is it a big idea? Is it an idea that can change the world? Is it an idea that can solve a problem that exists? And then I would look at who are the customers? Is this a very large market? And finally, their business plan, their financial plan, etc.
Okay, sir. The next question is from Richard Joseph, and the question is mental health a contributing factor to our habits, or is it vice versa?
So, just like physical health, mental health is something that we need to try and, mental strength is something that we need to try and develop. And that's part of being mentally healthy. So it's something that you can work at, by being conscious about your thought processes, conscious about your decision-making processes, your thinking, etc. Part of that is I talked about in this thing about habits, right? How do you develop good habits and things like that? Part of it is about introspection. You need to kind of sit back, think about what is happening, what you did, can you do it better? Or for example, if you are angry, try and think about what made you angry. Why are you angry? Because being angry is actually affecting your own mental health. It doesn't affect anybody else. And so if you are angry, it hurts you rather than it hurts somebody else. So think about all these things, and just like you can develop a stronger physical health, you can also develop a stronger mental health. Meditation is part of this. Just like in physical health, you can do yoga and things like that, exercise yoga. In mental health, meditation, etc., will definitely help you. And then if you still are unable to manage, there's nothing wrong in actually consulting a mental health specialist. Just like if you fall sick, you go to a physician, a doctor, you must consult, and they will be able to help you. But these are things that can be managed. There is nothing negative about this. because it is a condition that can change, that should change, that can be made better.
So our next question is from Nevin Anthony. And the question is, which startup you funded are you most excited about?
Well, that is a very difficult question to answer publicly, because if I take one name, all the other 70 plus startups that I've funded will feel that I am saying that they're not doing too well, right? So I don't want to take a particular name, but I'm always happy to hear something good about my investee companies or startups in the ecosystem, and anytime I find that even if the startup is not one that I've invested in, if I find somebody has done well, I tweet about it, I talk about it, and I sometimes use it as an example in my presentations, in my talks, etc. It makes me happy actually to see these startups do well, and we need as I said, entrepreneurs create jobs, entrepreneurs create products and services that the society needs. It improves our life, and entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship is very much required for the growth of the economy. So I'm actually always happy to see a company do very well. I just want to also say one more thing. If you look at what is unique about the IT services industry in India is that we not just created world-class companies, we created a world-class industry in India. We created a business model that has become the model for the world today. Because if you talk about software development, the number one place that comes to mind of any leader around the world is India, right? They think about India when it comes to software. So we have made that into a mental model, a model for the entire world. And that's what I'm very proud of, actually.
Yes, sir. So the next question is from Alicia Tony, and the question is, COVID had helped tech company in a great way. Can you explain in what way, in your way, what are the new opportunities that have been unlocked?
So first of all, the transition to digital meant that a lot of businesses had to go back to their applications, their software, etc., to make sure that the transition to digital is supported by their applications, by their software, which meant that there is modifications, there's maintenance, there's new software to be developed, and that's the reason why the IT services companies in India are doing very well. And I expect them to do very well over the next 12 to 18 months, or maybe 2 years or 3 years actually. Second is, another positive aspect of this COVID is, we have increased our dependence on technology, but we have also increased our dependence on science. And people are now valuing science more. And there is a better appreciation of how fast we have been able to create these vaccines, how fast we have been able to understand this virus, though I believe that we still have not fully understood the virus, but we have tried to understand the virus very quickly. There's global collaboration between countries, and within countries, between industry, academia, governments, etc. So again, that I believe is a very positive aspect, and I hope that this is sustained beyond this pandemic. And the third is how we have been able to change regulations in many ways for accelerating adoption of digital and things like that. Previously banks never used to accept electronic checks and things like that, or scan checks. Today, they accept scan checks. We should now make sure that they accept scan checks always. Now, you don't have to go to a bank or something like that. Your neighborhood shop, will accept a WhatsApp message on what you want to order, and they will send it to your home, right? So a lot of changes have happened in our life, and I believe these are all positive changes, and I hope that these are sustained. And last but not the least, just think about how we are interacting today. Imagine if I had to come to Rajagiri College. I have no problem in coming, but the time taken, I would have to spare probably a couple of days to do this talk, right? A 1 hour talk, I would spend at least a day in travel and things like that. So productivity has actually really gone up, and you can actually you can broadcast this, and people anywhere in the world can actually listen to it. If it was a physical event, only people in that room would have heard it, right? So many benefits actually to think about it.
Okay, sir. So we have one more question from Donna Susan Chaco. And the question is, there are times, however hard we try, circumstances just don't resonate with our way. How do you handle hard times that comes up in your way?
And again, I explained in my talk, right? After my 12th, I applied for MBBS. In those days, there was no common entrance examination and things like that, right? You have to apply to every college separately. And I applied just to Trivandrum Medical College, just one college. I did not make it. I did not get admission. That devastated me, right? In some sense, hard times. I was actually a good student, but I didn't get admission, and I had to replan my career after that. See, it is not necessary that you will succeed in everything that you try. Just look at athletics, right? Many people run the race, but there's only one winner. A sure way not to win is not to even try. So if you don't participate, there's no chance that you will win. If you participate, there's at least one chance that you will win, right? So participation is important. Preparation is very important. Trying very hard to do what you can, right? You should not fail because you didn't prepare yourself, you didn't try hard enough. That's not acceptable. So I always say that don't worry about things that are not under your control. Worry about things that are under your control, which is study hard, prepare hard, think about what could go wrong, and do you have a risk mitigation strategy? Do you ask for help? Do you look for mentors? Do you look for support? Do you give yourself enough time, etc., etc. I think making the best effort is important. The results are not completely in your hands. Anything can happen in life, and the COVID itself has proven that life is unpredictable. I don't know whether anybody could have anticipated all these things that we are going through today 9 months back, right? So I do not worry too much about things that are not under my control. I try very best to do whatever I can to the best of my abilities, and that's what I believe you should also think about. And yes, if you don't win, yes, there will be sadness, but that sadness will not sustain because you have tried very hard, and you will actually start thinking about the next race, and that's how you should look at life.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'm pretty sure that all the participants have got some information from the question answer session. And so that would have been our last question. I would once again like to remind the registered participants to kindly fill the feedback form, which has been put in the chat box without fail in order to receive the certificates. May I now invite Ms. Nadin Matthew, CEO, RSET IEDC, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, everybody. I hope I'm audible. Alina?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Sir, you once told in an interview that running a business is a marathon and not a sprint. And you've been running the marathon for the past 4 decades, tirelessly and with much enthusiasm. This drive and determination of yours is an inspiration for us and the coming generations to always go an extra mile to achieve our dreams. Your wisdom and your humble nature makes you a true role model, not just for the techies and entrepreneurs, but for every single human out there. Thank you for being the phenomenal person that you are, and thank you so much for joining with us today. Next, I would like to express my gratitude to the management of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology for the constant support they've been giving to us at IEDC. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Nitish Kurian, Nodal Officer of us at IEDC, for always guiding the team from the forefront. And last but not the least, I would like to thank our audience for joining in today. Once again, I would like to thank all of you on behalf of us at IEDC. See you all for the next REDTales. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadin. Dear participants, we would like to apologize for not addressing all the questions that came in due to the time constraints. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in with us today. Thank you to all the participants for joining in, and we wish and hope to see you for the next REDTales. Thank you once again.
Bye.